Live. Sketchbook. Here's my sketchbook. I can show it to you if you wanna have a look. Sketchbook. Here's my sketchbook. And now I will stop this song. Hey, yes, indeed. You are watching Talking Joe, possibly for the second time today, because we had a great chat earlier on with the creator of the Action Force, Battle Action Force years that's been going on Kickstarter at the moment. So by all means, go and check that out, but not before you have watched this. Today we are catching up with Diana Davis to look at her sketchbook collection of Duke, and helping me do that is my special co-host.
I really want to talk Joe with you. It's a real American Tim.
Hello, Mark.
There he is. How are you doing?
I'm good. Hello, watchers. Viewers and listeners, people with ears,
viewers, and
eyes.
Listeners. Lovely. And this is a two-way street on this. It's not pre-recorded. It's live, which means that if you are watching on Facebook, on the Talking Joe group, or live on YouTube, you can leave us a little message. We will see them pop up onto the screen and interact with them. So by all means, chime in, say hello, and let us know what you think of the things we are showing as we show them to you. But without too much further ado, let us introduce the special guest we have, who is sharing a collection. And there's a rule on this show: you're on, you get a jingle.
Just a G.I. Joe fan. After only one man. It's the Joe First Sergeant Duke. Thank you, man.
It's all like wrestling without the embarrassing underwear. It's great. And then there'll be explosions.
So welcome to the show, our visual show that we've got following up on our great chat that we had just a couple of weeks ago. So I've got some very nice feedback from people saying how much they enjoyed hearing from you. So that was great, and lovely to have you back.
Good. Thanks for asking me back. I like to talk about G.I. Joe. You might have gotten that sort of sense from the last time.
It's what we're into, hence the name. So it's perfect fit. So today we're going to be looking at your collection of sketches and commissions, which has got a very unique theme and precise theme, which we talked a little bit about when you were on the show last time. So it's a theme to the extent that you've actually commissioned your own jingle / montage / trailer for it. So shall I just play it, and then maybe you can tell us a little bit about the story behind MOAR Duke?
Sure, go for it.
He's every bit a man of action. He'll kick the mustard right out of your crazy hot dog. More adventure. More excitement. More thrills. More romance. More. Wait, what? Oh, no way. This is getting out of hand. More Duke. Gallery of Duke on Facebook. There's a snake in my boot.
That is glorious and
thanks.
epic, and a real piece of art. And it's a testament to your collection that you've commissioned not just all of the commissions of art, but also this amazing trailer about your collection. How did it come about?
The More Duke phrase came from someone else who just said it, and I thought, oh yeah, that's really good. I do want more. And I sometimes end up with free time, and that's not always a good thing to give me. And back in those days, John Bailey was on Fiverr. So he's the epic voice guy, if you don't know who he is. And
wow.
He's amazingly talented. He's just an incredible guy who's gotten into the voiceover and voice acting bit, not just with honest trailers, but he was in the last Transformers movie doing some of the voices. He often overdubs. You wouldn't even know half the thing he's in, but he was on Fiverr, and I thought, yeah, no, that'd be good. He's got the voice for it. And I asked him, and he said, sure, send me a few scripts. And I put it together on iMovie, and he did and came up with a few lines on his own, and he sent me like 3 takes, and bang, put it together.
Wow. It was a time for commissioning your own jingle. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah,
fantastic.
I don't know if he's on Fiverr anymore. It's a shame.
Are you suggesting, Mark, that we cut a trailer for the fact that Diana's talking about the trailer for her gallery?
In a time when Diana Davis had too much time, a voiceover artist was available for hire and artwork needed to be shared.
A trailer was made. Now, let's have more trailers. More trailers is better.
More trailers.
And then I'll be slowly walking away from exploding art supplies or something. I don't getting hit by shrapnel, little colored pencils and Copic markers flying out. There you go.
There we go.
More Duke.
We got Slaughterhouse getting in the vibe. More Duke. I think that is going to be the catchphrase for.
I'm going to invent the kickoff question. Diana, do you remember the first Duke drawing that you commissioned, or was it like fan art that you bought or original art that you bought?
The first Duke picture I commissioned must have been back in the... No, I do know. I went to San Diego Comic-Con, and this was a long time ago, a long time ago. And Russ Heath was there, and I had my crumpled issue 24. I love you, issue 24. And I took it to Russ, who was there. Was it 20 years ago? It was when you could still get into Comic-Con by going upstairs and buying a ticket. That's how long ago it was.
Doesn't exist.
Go upstairs, stand in line, buy a ticket. You could stand in another line and try and convince them you were a professional, buy a ticket and just walk in. But yeah, I saw him. And so I told him, I love this comic book. This is great. This is fantastic. And I don't know if he got a lot of G.I. Joe people walking by him in the day. So I asked him, could you do a sketch on the cover of my favorite Joe, who's Duke? And he went, well, okay. And this is Russ, 20 years ago. It's still Russ. So he did a sort of Duke Hawk kind of face that he put in there. And it was in silver pen, because I think that's all he had. And that was the first one. But there's some gaps in between the others after that. And I've got that issue in a box somewhere, but it's bounced around so many times. My long boxes are shuffled off in different directions. But yeah, that was it. And that was good luck getting a Russ Heath sketch 10 years after that.
I did.
You did. I did too.
Sorry, Mark.
This is a
too late now.
This is a silver Sharpie Duke on the front of 24. Is that right?
Yep.
First one. Yeah, I did. I was close. I was close to getting a Russ Heath sketch. I got as far as a couple of email exchanges with the guy who was sort of helping coordinate some commissions, however long ago that was. But yeah, didn't see it through to its conclusion and missed out.
Yeah, it's hard online. It's better if you can be around, so you just go there, and then generally he's, he would go along with. We bought him later. We bought. Oh, you're making fingers.
Sorry. I thought the anecdote was coming to a close.
Oh, sorry.
Please,
Okay.
please finish.
For the second one, the one that's back there, we found him again because I was desperate to have a bigger, better one, and we got him. I think we got him through Larry, and also Tim, and because I was just bugging people. I'm good at that. I said, "Can you?" And we arranged to take him out to lunch. So we took him out to lunch, got him a few drinks, and arranged it. He told horrendously horrible jokes that were really funny, and went into his time at Playboy and all, and how they found his cut up comics under Liechtenstein's art easel. And so my husband arranged that for my birthday. He met with him for lunch a few more times and had a thoroughly good time.
What's the year on this piece?
Wow, scroll down.
14.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, there was there was a big space that was way into my collecting. I got heavier into it once the Devil's Due guys got back into it, and it was relatively easy to get some sketches from then. So that really skyrocketed it.
So this one was not a connection at a convention. This was emailing or calling.
I had tried that, and because he disappeared from conventions. Not, it was harder to find him, and it got harder to get into Comic-Con.
This is great.
Mm.
Yeah.
I've
go for it.
I said I've even while we were talking, I queued up a little animation from the issue 24 commercial. If we wanted to get in the issue 24 vibe.
Yeah, get into the issue 24 vibe.
No prison can hold Cobra!
Is there a prison big enough, strong enough to hold the Cobra Commander? He's the enemy.
He's escaping!
He's the enemy of G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe, American hero, mighty Cobra and Destro.
Our new team is ready, Commander.
No, Destro, not quite.
What does Cobra Commander mean? Find out in the further adventures of G.I. Joe from Marvel Comics.
He's escaping!
More Duke.
He's escaping! I love that commercial. That was and for that was like the synergy, right? The commercial looked like the comic, looked like the cartoon, looked like it was great. Perfect.
It did.
Perfect.
Commercial.
So my initial thought when I see this as a fan who wants everything to be just so is that Duke's shirt isn't the familiar yellow, and then I think, no, this is a fun change. Also, in the Russ Heath piece that I have, a couple of the colors aren't show accurate or toy accurate, and I'm just going to give that leeway to an older artist who didn't color his own work normally. True. Like when the piece that I commissioned, it's like, and I wanted color, and he's like, oh, okay. And then I can sort of then I sort of apply some fan logic, and this is like Duke, normal Duke, and 10% Tiger Force Duke.
Yeah. Well, he's known as the first shirt, but in this case, it's his second shirt.
It's his other first shirt. I don't know. Maybe it could have been with Russ. It could have been just that he wanted it to stand out from the hair and the skin, or he had his memory sort of, militarized it up more so that it looked more like a shirt you'd more likely see on somebody in the military.
I'm pleased that Heath didn't draw Duke's double collar.
Yeah.
Because, Duke's wearing two shirts, sort of, which is, okay. It's fine. If you look, Mark, up close at the Duke figure and Duke in animation, he's got a green collar under his yellow collar. And I don't understand. I don't mind it. But it's harder to draw. Excuse me. It's harder to draw. So by all means, that's a tiny detail that we can all just decide doesn't need to be there without being a fan complaining like it's not accurate to the toy.
Oh no, it's good. You get more of the upper chestal region there. No dog tags. He asked for turnarounds because, of course, it's been decades since he'd seen it, and he probably has his original stuff somewhere in his apartment, but finding it would have been difficult.
I don't know if he still. Some of that stuff was getting sold off, right?
Yeah,
especially in the aughts.
Yeah.
Did you describe like I want him full body, arms akimbo, or did you just say I want you to draw me Duke?
I pretty much I left it to Cullen, and he asked for the turnarounds, and we got the book that was put out about with all the
Jim Sorensen's
Jim's book
field guide.
Yeah, the field guide to G.I. Joe. So we just got that because those are Heath's original turnarounds anyways, and marked it and sent it to him, and he kept it for a bit.
I love the shadow on his face.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I mean, considering it looks like he did it with almost very thin pen.
Mm-hmm.
And his I'm a fan of the watercoloring. I'm thrilled that he watercolored that. That's not easy to do, and of course he's self-taught completely as Russ Heath. He taught himself how to do most of this stuff and just moved his way up.
What is sad though is that the piece itself is amazing, but the signature down here it's just a little bit of a tell, isn't it? It's looking a little bit
moving on.
It's
well,
it's he's struggling with that, I think.
It's interesting that the writing is that way, but when he's drawing, it's like another part of his brain kicked into gear.
Yeah.
And I've seen that happen with older people.
It's almost two entirely separate pieces of your brain, the normal script and actually drawing, and that people, even letterers, they can have really bad handwriting but incredible lettering, because lettering is closer to
drawing for them, maybe. Yeah.
Do you two have the art book that IDW published, Flesh and Steel: The Art of Russ Heath?
Yeah, that's impressive. I like that. The best part about that, well, not the best part because it's an impressive book, but the part I like about that is that 24 was not just drawn by Heath. I don't exactly remember the story why. I would crack open the book and get it, but Mike Vosburgh had a stab at it. So you get to see some pages from both.
Oh, really? In there?
Yeah. The book was behind schedule, and Heath hadn't delivered 24, and Vosburgh was already on his way out the door. And Denny O'Neil asked Vosburgh to turn in an issue 24, something of a rush job, and Vosburgh did. But then Heath's work showed up anyway, so that's what got printed.
Yeah, I was aware of the story. I just didn't know that it had been printed. So some of that features in this IDW book on Russ Heath. Yeah,
I don't. I've never seen Vosburgh's page for that book until then. So
yeah, I think he's still from his blog post. I understand that he's still got the pages somewhere. So.
Which is surprising because, again, a lot of that stuff a lot of the artists have sold off a bunch of their art.
Like that's that special edition of the Todd McFarlane unpublished issue. It would be wonderful if IDW could put out that lost issue.
Wow, that'd be great.
Imagine that.
Mark's up. It's not beyond the realm of possibility if he could scrape them up. Just gives me an inkling of an idea.
I don't know if Vosburgh still has the art, but he does have photocopies.
Yeah. Yeah, that he could always do. He actually painted a picture of my cat just recently, which was nice, and sent it to me. Wonderful. Because Mark loves cats and I love cats too.
He's a cat person, isn't he? Yeah.
Oh yeah. He's got some amazing paintings of cats he sends out. He does it just because. I'm sorry your cat died. It's a beautiful painting. It's very gorgeous. I've got a frame.
Was this unprompted or? Just
Yeah,
you
no.
randomly-
Sadly,
Wow.
Conrad Mauser reached the end of his kitty life, and we had to say goodbye, which was very hard to do, but it was definitely time. And Mike saw, and sorry, Vosberg saw, and he just reached out. I like
Wow.
painting pictures of cats. Here you go. Because if they're in my area, and a lot of them are in my area, I end up chatting with them in conventions, the smaller conventions around here, and so you keep on top of each other with the Facebook and social media. It's really nice.
Incredible.
What's our
I
next?
think
What's our next piece?
I'll flip back to the one that I skipped by very quickly earlier. Here we go. And we might be able to see that double collar.
Yes. Well, that's a Jay Sullivan's version of the card. He's really good at those too. Jamie Sullivan is fantastic at doing Joe pieces, and he did this all himself. It's a huge piece too. And there's little Conrad Mauser in his arms. I love it.
And that aside, is it completely authentic to the file card? Is that weapon is probably different, isn't it?
I don't think so.
No, it's not, is it? It's he does have the laser gun on the card art.
And the weird binoculars.
Well, gotta have the weird
Those
binoculars.
Really weird binoculars.
The way Garrido had them hanging almost looks like an afterthought. Like, would they hang that way? Maybe not.
There's that double collar.
Yeah.
There's the double collar. With the
triple collar if the cat is wearing a collar.
We never put a collar on Conrad. How dare we try? But that double collar popped out a lot more in Tiger Force because they kept it in the color scheme, and it ended up sort of a salmony color. It was fun to make one when I did a 12-inch Tiger Force Duke for fun. It's sort of a kit bash, and I had to put the double collar in. That thing's a pain in the butt. I can only imagine what it must be like for a real person to wear a double collar like that, because in 12 inches it was horrible to try and put that together.
Okay, cool.
No, I really love this one because it's the heroic pose, not arms akimbo this time, but it's like I'm never going to get my hands on the painting for the card art. Just never happening. Hasbro's not letting that out of their vault. I was surprised Daryl let me touch it and even take a picture with it. And I joke that he's really fast, but he's really fast. And you can't get out of the Hasbro building before he catches you. So this is the closest I'm going to get, and it's spectacular. I almost prefer it.
Yeah, and it's nice that it's so close to the original, but then it's got your own, personal touch to it as well.
Well, yeah. When I look at that, it just makes me grin. Jay is now, I think he's going to be driving around the country to different conventions and things. He's going to be at Joe Fest, which is coming up soon.
Yeah, he wanted to do a big series of these commissions of the Garrido recreations, up to a maximum of one per character, and there's a few that he's done that you can see on his Instagram.
Yeah, they're all spectacular. I mean, his covers are just crazy. Just trying to look closely at a Sullivan cover, they're amazingly detailed. Like he's got that one coming out of Firefly coming out, having blown up something, and you look at this radio satellite towery thing, and it looks all, you'd think, oh wow, he photoshopped an actual. No, he draws all of that by hand, each little bit. It's crazy.
Excellent. Move on to the next. Here we go. Katie Cook, a matching pair of Scarlet Pew Pew, and
I like the way she's standing.
Yeah, it's more like she's floating.
Yeah, she didn't get a ground, but that's okay. It's just the way she's got the sort of like the hunch in the shoulders, and she's comfortable, and she's like, hey, pew pew pew. These are sweet little pictures. They're tiny. She does them at cons for people, and they're just very little sweet dinky things on the cards, and she captured exactly what I wanted with like just only
Yeah,
a single color.
She was at Thought Bubble in the UK a few times, and I think she was charging back when we first encountered her £5 each for this kind of thing, and she would have a lengthy queue stretching all the way down the hall. And I don't know her current rates, but I imagine it's much more than that.
Yeah, she tries to keep those little cards down, but everything goes up with inflation. But I don't think it was much higher when I got those. The exchange rate, it must have been like $10, if that.
Okay.
But these were back a bit.
How big?
They're just like they're slightly bigger than a card.
Okay.
So that they're not really the images themselves are just very tiny.
And it's Bristol. The paper is a
Yeah.
little thick.
Yeah.
Are you a My Little Pony fan, Diana?
No, not per se. I like that they remade it in a different way that's slightly more sarcastic and a little less sweet and syrupy. But I've not followed ponies all that closely.
Is that what she's most famous for professionally outside of commission?
Yeah.
The comic series, that IDW publishes. I haven't read it, but we always have it at my store. And whenever I flip through it, I'm always struck by how good it looks.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the covers, the variants, the interiors, the colors.
Yeah, no, it sells well. I mean, it's a fantastic looking book, and the people who work on it, they love it, and it shows in what they put out. Every inch of art and every page is beautiful, and the writing too.
There was so over the years, Hasbro and through its licensors has experimented with books for little kids. Was it like 8 years ago? There was that Transformers storybook for little kids, I Am Optimus Prime. And I'm looking at this, and suddenly I want a little kid storybook of G.I. Joe drawn by Katie Cook. Right?
Oh yeah.
It's like Duke and Scarlet find a snake or something.
Pew pew.
Or it, rather than being authentically for younger readers, maybe it could be there's that book, I forget who published it, The Alien Next Door, which is like the 20th Century Fox xenomorph aliens, but it's like a children's book, little hardcover, and it's drawn more like this in a reduced, simple style. So I could also take one that's more ironic and tongue in cheek, and that's not actually for 7-year-olds.
Yeah, they tried that. They tried to do an "Oh yeah" G.I. Joe. I remember that, and it just disappeared.
Well, it wasn't G.I. Joe. It was the whole crossover.
It was the combined universe.
It was Revolution.
Yeah.
I read the first 3. Was there a 4th issue?
I don't recall. No, I don't think so. I think it just stopped.
You think it wasn't finished?
I might be completely wrong, because that's before I was actually involved in anything. But I remember getting all the issues and being like, "This is cute. I like this," and then that was it. Never heard again from it. And the arc wasn't, the little story wasn't wrapped up.
I liked it. It was. I wonder if it was lost in the shuffle of the larger Hasbro-verse. Just lots of comics for all these characters, and hard. It's a hard sell, right? Mm-hmm. It's like the 20, 30, 40 something year olds who
there it is,
who like these characters. Do they want the kid version that's like a little like jokey and fun, but that's actually legitimately all ages? And then I remember my reaction to it. I liked it, but it was busy. It was crowded because
it's a lot going on.
Because it's like all 5 or 6 of these toy lines are together. So like Optimus Prime does something for a page and a half, and it's like, oh, we got it. We got to get a Micronaut in there.
Yeah. There's a lot of IP there to manage. But I'm a fan generally of that. Oh yeah, kind of. universe of books from Art Baltzar and Franco. And yeah, I think they're generally very nice and charming. But for some bizarre reason, I don't think I've got this one. But I have got the Mask, Hellboy, and a lot of the DC work that he did as well with the Teen Titans. And yeah, utterly charming books and a really good sort of gateway comic for quite young comic readers.
I like this is one of the things I like about collecting is this is an art style that they would, I don't know who the they is, that person hearing about collecting comic art wouldn't think of. It's a war comic. Why do you want them? But honestly, every collector has pieces like this because it's sweet. And I like seeing the characters seen by other people. So like I get their view on it and I get a bit of themselves in it. And when you start doing that with the same character repeatedly, it becomes about the differences between them and the experience with the artist, but just how they see the character. I always know when someone doesn't quite have a grasp on it because the picture I get is sort of aimless, I guess I can say.
Did you provide reference?
For Scarlet, she didn't need. I think I might have brought a picture up for Duke because she needed to, again, Duke, Hawk, it's the blonde one, right? But I don't think she needed much. Scarlet, definitely not. And I saw other G.I. Joes on the table when I got these. So she'd done a cute little Snake Eyes. I think there was like a cute little Destro and Baroness or something. So she was a pony fan. I'm assuming she knows some of G.I. Joe. I bet she does.
Yeah, everyone must know some of G.I. Joe.
Everyone must know.
Everyone. We've got some hellos in the comments. We've got a Facebook user who I've quickly just checked is Mike. If you're commenting via Facebook, I think you have to click on a link to register your name with StreamYard to make the connection. Otherwise, you show up as Facebook user. But thanks for watching. And we've also got G.I. Joe Netherland. Hello,
Yay!
Hello. Let's look at some more art.
More art. I've got lots of it.
Do it. More.
More art.
Ooh.
There we go.
Rod Wiggum.
Duke and Scarlet's part 2 reveal. Indeed.
Rod Wiggum's modern G.I. Joe is so crisp.
Oh yeah.
It's so satisfying, and his covers at the beginning of the IDW run that continued the Marvel run, I was still getting used to G.I. Joe being back, and that first arc wasn't my favorite. So Wiggum's covers. Did you do the second arc? Am I remembering that correctly?
Of the ARH.
Yeah.
The first.
Oh, was the first? Okay.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but it was certainly very much towards the beginning of it.
First or second? Maybe someone can correct me in the comments. Those were good. They didn't wow me. I thought it was fun that since Wiggum hadn't done covers originally, now he got to do covers. But since then, in seeing some convention sketches and commissions work like this, he is his. I like his modern G.I. Joe stuff in like 2015 and 2019 and 2020 actually more. I think he's gotten better. MORE without any irony or exaggeration.
Not how you spell it. Yeah, no,
it's
that
kind of thing like that.
Okay, first arc. Thank you.
First arc. Yeah, that was 157.
Rod Wiggum draws the daily newspaper strip Gil Thorpe, which is a sports strip. This is one of those newspaper strips that's been running for decades, and that passed from the original artist cartoonist to someone else. And I'm not familiar with it more than that, except to say that it's really fun when a comics artist moves over to a newspaper strip, right? Like Joe Staten has been drawing the daily Dick Tracy strip for I think 3 years now. But Wiggum has gotten better, and he was always good. So that's not a backhanded compliment. Like Wiggum has just gotten better. I think his compositions and his spotting of blacks and this piece is so great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
He's late.
I was just gonna say, when I've seen his more modern stuff versus his older stuff, I wonder to what extent that is a change in style over time, but also that we're seeing him now more ink his own stuff, whereas previously it was mostly inked by, is it, I'm gonna probably mispronounce it, but Andy Mushinsky.
Yeah, Andy Mushinsky. Sorry, I got his name's not a thing behind me. Sorry.
Yeah, so I've not seen too much of sort of unadulterated vintage Rod Wiggum art, but I think that that Andy's inking style was very complimentary.
Yeah, this one kind of surprised me in how good it was. I mean, not that I was going to be so happy with anything I got from Wiggum, and he's fantastic, but just you've got those several layers of textures and colors. You've got dark at the bottom, so it sort of anchors you down to where he's sitting, and you've got these diagonal strips, right? And they're giving you that movement. So even though he's sitting totally still, right, reading, it's a very calm moment for him. But the way this is driven, and the way that the weight of the textures of the rock and the darkness at the bottom and the shadows down there, and then you have some smoke blowing in the wind above him, and then that wall with the bullet holes in there just cuts it in half. It doesn't give you that, it's that little moment of peace, perhaps, totally ensconced in all this weight and rock and smoke and fighting, and there's more movement than you would think on a picture of a guy sitting reading.
I see two pairs of collars. Do you remember, Diana, what did you ask for with this piece?
I asked for him doing something beyond. I always start out, whatever tickles your mind is good, but you don't want to leave artists with that, because some strange things can come back because they want some guidance. So I said, I like the pointing and yelling and arms akimbo pictures. Those are always cool, and I get a lot of those. But I really like to see the kinds of things soldiers do when they're not fighting. Like, show me something about the person, because when someone's pointing and yelling and shooting and directing or standing with arms akimbo, that doesn't actually tell you much about who they are. So I said, I like the pictures of downtime just as much as the battle pictures. And I said, I think I like Elliot. Elliot was one of the most impressive soldiers out there. And so I asked, could he be reading? And how about this book? Because that's the kind of book a soldier might read.
This also feels like sort of classic Duke now, or a mixture of 1983 and the 20 teens, because that's a more modern machine gun, and that's not the weapon that Duke originally came with. So there's that kind of very small updating. It's not like he's in his yellow and green, but it's got like lots of straps and ribbing and like modern gear stuff on it. It's Duke. It's just a subtle update with that weapon.
Yeah, and I like the little detail of that watch. That pops up on Duke now and again. The little leather, or I don't know if it's webbing, but I've seen that in more than one picture. And I don't know, I guess they have the modern watches, but it feels to me something like somebody might have worn in the 70s or the 60s.
And the balance on this picture in terms of the technical details on his gun without overloading it, so it's all just feeling like a very balanced picture, all in the same style, because Wiggum doesn't tend to overload or overly render, but it just is completely integrated in the same style, and you know, still you've got all of the detail there, but it's, you know, completely fitting in with the rest of the piece.
Yeah, and it needs to be there. It needs to be there to match the flow of the wall and the line between the wall and the smoke on the other side. In a way, you need that extra diagonal there to keep the eye moving in those sort of sharp diagonal lines. But yeah, it's a fantastic picture, and if when you get it and you look up close, you can just look at it and find new details all the time.
Perfect. Should we move on to the next one? Okay.
Oh,
My God, it's Michael Golden.
it's a fantastic. Look at that, Michael Golden. So that gun has such weight to it.
Oh, you're right, and he's got his signature in the butt of the rifle there, just
Yeah.
just into his arm.
I
Nice
am lucky
little
enough to have
subtlety.
2 Mike Goldens, but this one was the second one, and this one just it's one of those ones that when you get the picture, you can't help smiling for the rest of the day because it's just fantastic.
It is, you know, almost anything by him is amazing, but this particularly, it's got so much going on. You know, the color, well, the lack of color, the blacks that he's using on his rifle there, while still maintaining such a huge level of precision and technical detail there. It's and still feeling like a complete piece. It's pretty mind blowing that.
Oh yeah, right
they're
down
able
to you
to
can see
achieve.
the little lines in the scope, right, where the lens might have been like set in. It's just he's always good at that. I loved his time on the Nam most because he gets to draw those like really amazingly detailed vehicles and tiny bits, and geez, like even the texture on the grenade.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, Golden. I've seen. I own one of his Punisher covers, and Golden pays particular attention to equipment. You know, whether it's a vehicle or a rifle, and he really is inking this differently. It's almost like he's inking it inverted. You know, like black is white and white is black, where you know, Duke's shirt, like that's left white because that's going to be yellow, and his pants are left white because that's going to be green. But like sort of the rules of Golden inking this kind of image, like the gun is going to be black. It's going to be more black than white, and you know, I say this casually, not as a medical diagnosis or as like not as someone who's interviewed him, but you know, like he has a photographic memory. You get the sense that this equipment, like if he's drawn it once, he can just draw it again and again and again. And I think that goes for characters as well. What's also so fascinating about his art, and this goes back to, you know, his first work at DC and Marvel in the late 70s, but it really kicks into high gear with the Nam, is that he is cartooning here and there. You know, like those eyes are a little bigger, you know, that chin and that mouth, those are cartooned. And then these proportions where this gun is a little bit squat, and you know, Duke's torso, I know that his pose suggests this anyway, but you know, his torso is like 4% shorter than sort of anatomy would dictate, because Golden is here and there, but very much in his faces. Here and there in his drawings, he cartoons, right? You can see it how he draws some of the vehicles in your book too that are like slightly stretching.
Yeah, or they look like they're bending around because they're going over a bump. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it helps you feel what's going on in the panel. And like for a gun, you can't cartoon up a gun too much. I mean, if it's shooting rapidly, you might distort it. But for people, when you can't hear their voices, so you can't hear the inflection, you have to take a little bit of cartooning into that face so that you can get what's going on. That just that little bit of distortion helps imply the tone of their voice when they're yelling or running. And I remember that in the Nom. The characters were just a bit animated looking, but then the vehicles were perfect. But he blends it together so well that it fits. You don't see them as cartoons. They just are to give the expression to what they're doing. Yeah, I was thrilled to get this one. It was worth the wait because it he's a busy man. It took some time.
This is not a convention. This is a commission through his agent, right?
I got the commission through the agent. I'd had one from him before. So he sort of knew that he'd done one before, but I picked it up at Long Beach Con, and I had actually met him at cons in between to, check in and discuss it. Like he would ask, "Well, do you want to?" So it sort of is one of the rare ones that's sort of a little bit of both. Back when we all went.
I didn't ask this up front, but do you have a sketchbook, or are generally these pieces on loose paper?
I can't have a sketchbook. It's a me thing. I can't leave a book full of possibly awesome sketches on anyone's table ever. I can't do it. I'd be like, no, those are mine. And if something happens, then I'll never see them again. And also, I like them to be able to be taken out. So I like them to stand on their own. When sketchbooks, the thing about a sketchbook is that is a definite collection. So when it's done, you go through the sketchbook. And I know a lot of people may have multiple sketchbooks and have some person go into one sketchbook, but not into another. So then the collection stands together, which is a good thing. But for me, the pieces stand on their own. And when you look at them all on one page, you can sort of see what's going on. But I like them to be individual because to me, that's how it's got to be. And again, I don't dare leave it with anyone.
Mark, can you zoom in on the lower fingers on the bloop?
Okay, there we go.
Man, I have in my comics collection. I have a box with like G.I. Joe, and I have a box with the rest of G.I. Joe and Special Missions, and I have a box with assorted X-Men and Wolverine issues. I have a short box that's just Michael Golden, and it's a handful of issues that he's drawn, like the Marvel Holiday Special with the Hama Wolverine story, like the Micronauts Special Edition, and then the rest of it is just comics where he drew the covers, like Mutant X or like the Topps Jurassic Park. So I have a little gallery of my own just in a short box that I can sometimes pull a book out randomly. And, so many of his covers, he also colored. So not just inking, but coloring and retaining such complete control over that work. And, so often the cover is by far the best thing about that comic book.
Yeah, that one I was after for a very long time. I think when I started doing collections, commissions in the Devil's Due days, I knew one day I will get one. I don't know how. I'll figure it out. And I'll stalk them until they agree.
Yeah.
Yes. Draw me to.
I will find you. Yeah, you got me thinking, Tim, about the Michael Golden that he was doing. Was it Detective Comics? He was doing those covers, and they were sort of these incredible colors and compositions, and the interiors had just no chance of standing up to the quality of the cover. It was somewhat unfair on the.
To be fair, the interiors are good. They're just not sublime.
Yeah, exactly. It's just an unfair competition. Okay, we've got a nice comment coming in here. The art thus far is amazing, Diana. And this show has gotten me into sketching again since a long, long time. So I'm making a Duke for you in graffiti letters.
Hooray! Graffiti character Duke.
It's great.
Thank you.
More, Duke.
More. Come spray paint it on my wall.
What's next?
Next up is, we talked about him before, and here he is.
Oh, the kitties.
That's great.
But again, look at the gun. It's spectacular. Completely different style. But yeah, it's just, what do you do when the fighting stops for a bit? And you find pictures of soldiers feeding kitty cats, among other things. I think one, was it the Polish? There was a Polish unit that had a bear. I don't think I need a bear, but you know, stray kitties. And
This is a nice idea, Diana, to give an artist drawing a commission something, a cue that sets them up for something not standard, like soldier at rest or soldier between the fights. Vosberg, he's known for G.I. Joe and She-Hulk, I guess She-Hulk and G.I. Joe. And then, comics lost him to animation, where he storyboarded and later directed for years and years. And then he moved into, storyboarding for live action films. And I've been to his home, and he has the art that he has up on his walls are pieces from like the illustration greats of the, I'm going to guess 50s, right? And if you spend time on his website, you can see him often musing about, writing about, drawing homages to the artists who are his important favorites. And these are people who, like, comics fans probably don't know because they were painting like magazine covers or book covers or movie posters, right, in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, right? This is not like Jack Kirby. Vosberg can draw and paint in many styles, and it's exciting that when he draws a comics commission like this, he can come back to something more standard or recognizable for comics. And yet, if I sort of squint and I look at this sideways, like I can see like illustrator and illustration influences. Some of this is in the treatment of color here. Like for comics, like certainly for sketches, and certainly in previous episodes like this, we've talked about Copic markers, warm grays and cool grays. So this does feel familiar, but like this would never be a cover for a comic book. And as the rules, the latitude for convention sketches, commissions is much wider, of course. But like Duke's all white. Duke is left uncolored in or adorned. And then there's all this brown and this warm gray behind him, right? It's really unusual and striking. But for like not comics people, but for like illustration people, it'd be like, yeah.
And I'm fine. I like that. That's I like to go that way. I've sometimes asked someone who's not in comics to do Duke because it's even better. There's more stuff from my collection. And it's
unlimited.
And sometimes I'll wander around Artist Alley, and Artist Alley these days you'll get quite a mix of, this person has worked in comics, this person wants to work in comics.
Yeah.
And has their own comic or is self-publishing. And I try to find, if I find a style I like, then I'll go over and say, hey. And some of the best pieces I have were done by someone trying to break in who has a fantastic style that appealed to me that day and did a really great, solid job because they found it interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can find some real gems that way. Okay, more Duke.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Pew, 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 pew.
This is at a convention, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Was there a long line?
I lucked out. I got to him when there wasn't. There was like two people who were chatting with him. Okay. And I went up and I asked him, would you do it? And he's like, yeah.
Did it seem like he knew G.I. Joe? Did you
Oh,
have
yeah.
reference?
Yeah, yeah. He knows Larry, and they've known each other, so he knew what
Okay.
GI Joe was. I probably showed him some on his phone, but I can't even remember if I did. But he didn't need much. No,
Right.
he knew, and it's
How
fantastic.
how long do you think it took him to do this?
I got that back at the end of the day,
Uh-huh.
so I hit him first.
Mhm.
So and I it's a long haul in the day, so he took his time doing it, but I don't think it took him more than the day.
I do think that artists like Stan Sakai and Sergio Aragonés, right? And, they're related in that Sakai letters grew, but um, they're they both draw relatively quickly, and that comes from many years of practice. Like I think when we think of both of their art, we think of sort of more cartoony and not overly detailed compared to like the guy who's drawing Batman with like lots of lines on his armor and his chest, and yet there is a lot of satisfying detail in Usagi Yojimbo, or a piece like this. But Sakai, he's one of those guys where some days I feel like because I read Usagi Yojimbo and I've been reading it since 91. Some days I feel like he's the most underappreciated talent in comics. And isn't there an Eisner talent deserving of wider recognition?
Yeah, yeah.
And like there are so many issues of Usagi Yojimbo where just that one issue is like a master class in comics. It's like you could just teach a semester long class in comics. It's like breaking down this script, looking at like the rhythm of the opening scene, or like the layout of the first page and the layout of a middle page, and then like a fight scene. And the reason why I bring sort of Aragonés up as well is that these two guys make it look easy, right? But that's just like Stan Sakai has not even writing, right? Just drawing, so much talent like packed into himself.
Yeah, and you can he's one of the ones that will draw right at his table, easy to see, so you can sit and watch him, and it's just thrilling. It just boom boom. So when he's drawing Usagi for books, it's literally, and each picture is different.
Also, probably so obvious that all three of us forgot to say it, but with a creator who is so synonymous with one character over several decades, and he drew like one cover for Marvel, and he drew like a little bit of Ninja Turtles here and there, and he drew like one very short story that was Star Wars when Dark Horse had the license. Like, he pops up here and there in other places. But like, he's never drawn a G.I. Joe pinup or a variant cover or a backup story. And I've certainly never seen any commissions or convention sketches. So sort of the obvious sentence is, how unusual and exciting to see a G.I. Joe image drawn by Stan Sakai.
It's fantastic. Yeah. No, that's
there's so much energy here. I love some of the little details that you sort of come out as you're looking at it. I like how he's boxed in the image in this rectangular panel, but then he's got this pistol here is sort of breaking that the line. The bullet from this one is, and then he's got this incoming fire, and it's just eating into the panel with those little gaps, and it's a very small touch, but it just creates such a feeling of energy into the image.
Yeah, you got shrapnel flying across. It's great. The expression on his face too is just, you can see little toothies there. And somebody else might have gone in and drawn each individual tooth, and that kind of would erect it in a way, but that's not how he draws. I have been trying many years to get an Aragonés, and I asked him straight out, I think the same convention I got this from Sakai, but again, he's not identified with GI Joe, and Hasbro sometimes, they've not gone after anyone doing commissions, but he didn't have an interest in it, and I'm sure it wasn't like, no, I hate it. It was just like, I'm not comfortable with that.
I was in line at a convention where, for a Sergio Aragonés sketch, and I think he was doing either Gru or like Alfred E. Newman, and I don't remember if there was, maybe I was too scared to ask. I wouldn't have asked for G.I. Joe, but by that point he had done his Destroys DC and what's the Marvel one? Mashes Marvel and like Stomps Star Wars specials. This was before all of his Maggie Simpsons comics.
Okay.
I
Did you were you about to say something that you were in the line for him, and you were thinking of what to ask him?
It didn't occur. It wouldn't have occurred to me to
ask him to do a GI Joe. No.
G.I. Joe. So I'm glad, Diana, that you did, and it's interesting to hear the response.
Yeah, and if he's not comfortable with it, I'm not going to force the issue either, because that's not just going to be, it's just not going to be a good commission anyways. If I try and push him and do this for me,
I think I got the Mad logo or Alfred E. Newman. It's in that sketchbook that I'll never let you see, Mark, because it's in storage.
No. Well, I'll go up and ask him again. It's been a decade and a half or something. I can see if maybe he'll do it. But the feeling is real. He could have had an experience in the past with something similar that just, nope, not going to do it. Not going to do it.
I also appreciate when I appreciate the balance that the like talent who's sitting at a table in front of you has to strike with being polite and the expectations or unreasonable expectations of the collector fan who's like ready with money in hand, right? It's like, I want you to draw Batman. It's like, sorry, no. I don't like Batman. Or, I've drawn 10 Batmans today. Can you pick someone else?
They're not photocopiers. You don't put in money or press a button and picture comes out. And if they don't want to do it, then you say, okay, well, thanks. And either you find something they do want to do, or you go find someone who does want to do what you want them to do. That's easy. I have no problem with people saying no.
Okay, ask Sergio Aragonés to draw Gru. Maybe I bet you could get. I bet he would draw Sergeant Rock.
Oh, he might.
Then you can squint. You're like, close enough.
Yeah, it'll do something, or maybe just fit it in somehow. I'll try.
Sergeant Rock with several grenades, and then just call it Sergeant Savage.
Give him a bandolier and have him point and yell, and that'll work. By that time, he's probably like, no, I know what you're doing. I told you no 10 years ago.
Back to Sakai. This is so much fun. And also maybe the other obvious thing that we forget to say aloud is like, because Sakai always is drawing anthropomorphic animals. Of course, he can also draw people, and it's unusual. And when he does, it's really wonderful. He did that miniseries for Dark Horse that Mike Richardson wrote, 47 Ronin, which is the retelling of that.
I read that.
Retelling of that famous like Japanese legend, and it was good. And it's people. It's not related to Usagi Yojimbo. It's people. And I remember thinking at the time, this is good. I don't begrudge anyone who wants to do something different for 7 months, but I also sort of wish I could just trade that in for 7 more issues of Usagi Yojimbo.
They have it gathered up into a trade now, and it's a nice book to get if you like Sakai and are ready to go into that. Or if you're a fan of, a lot of people apparently really love that legend because it's been done more than once. It's a solid book. I have a friend whose brother is a Western samurai researcher, I guess, historian. I forget his name because his written name is not the same. But I read the Sakai 47 Ronin alongside reading one of his books. And so when you do that, you sort of go back and forth and notice the details that Sakai had researched and put in to the book, because he goes into, the swords, the handle, the guard and what that means, and the symbols and the family and the rules and the legend, and having them both together was probably what made it more like engrossing for me to read that one.
Okay, cool. Are we ready for more Duke?
More.
Yes.
Okay, next up. It is. Wait, Tim, do you want to have a guess at this before I put the name up?
Can you zoom in?
Look at the letters on the back of his jacket.
Good, good prompt. AF.
Are those someone's initials?
It's a group.
This feels familiar, but I can't quite place it.
It is Action Force, because the art is by John Cooper. So very good link to a total Action Force discussion that we were having this morning.
So this
John
is
Cooper was one of
an original
the lead
art page?
artists.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Here we go.
Oh, okay, okay.
So this is how it saw print back in the day, probably, I don't know what, 1985, something like that. John Cooper was one of the lead artists on the Action Force books, and at the time the Action Force team had a brand new base that was being tied into in one of the stories, and they had a number of features sort of detailing some of the parts of that base. And so this has got the mess area, and up the top where Duke has got his tray of food, and then underneath it's the leisure facilities where they've got a dartboard and a pool table.
What's snooker?
It's like pool.
Okay.
Snooker.
Snooker.
Okay. Did you buy this from Cooper himself, from an art dealer?
I bought it from a dealer. I found it online and jumped on it because the price was fantastic for what it was.
Okay.
It is a big piece, and it is in fantastic shape. Considering, it's on the wall behind me here. I have it matted because I don't want anything to happen with it. And I believe he had passed away either recently after I got this or before. Am I right in that? I think so.
Yeah, just.
When did he pass?
I want to say 2014, I want to say.
Maybe sometime around there. Yeah, and it was shipped over to me in great condition, and I love it. Duke is one of the few Action Force members it was basically Duke. They just, there you go. And then there's that jammer next to him. Close enough, yeah.
Mark.
It was probably he was probably the Stalker iteration. He switched names. Yeah.
Mark,
and again, I like it
because
I'm sorry, I like it because they're not fighting; they're eating lunch. And there's a little Sky Striker.
Let me stick back
on
to the original art.
Little Sky Striker picture on the wall.
Mark, can you give us a sentence or two of what else? What's the artist's first name?
John
Cooper. What else was he known for? How long was he affiliated with Battle Action Force?
So he was, very much affiliated with Battle Action Force. He had a very long tenure on one of the non-Action Force stories called Johnny Red, which was about this British fighter pilot who was serving alongside the Russians, and that ran for a long time in the pages of Battle, and was recently kind of reinvented or revisited by Garth Ennis and Keith Burns as a limited series. And then he had a very he had did quite a lot of work on other strips that were featuring in the issue. So I think in the Battle and Action Force, and I think he's just one of these long established artists jobbing away on the British Boys Comics weeklies for a long time,
and didn't.
He did Judge Dredd, right, for a bit.
He did, yeah. He did some Judge Dredd as well for 2000 AD. I think he did some work during their big Apocalypse War series, and what else was I going to say? He did an awful lot of the major Action Force stories. So there was London in Peril, where Cobra had occupied London, and there was a sort of a big, long-running story at the end of the Action Force era called Operation Deep Cover, which is where Zartan infiltrated the ranks of the Action Force team, and it was, using up all of the characters and all of these different locations, building up to a grand finale, where Cobra essentially is finally defeated.
Cooper didn't. He didn't pop up in American comics.
Not much.
Don't believe, and I'm not familiar of anything that he did for American comics. I know that he did a fair amount for 2000 AD. I'm trying to think of the character's name. It was this kind of grizzled detective with Armitage. Is his name, sort of white hair and a little white beard. Those are things I'm most familiar with, but I'm sure prior to that point, he's probably working all over the place across lots of sort of boys comics, as they would have been called back in the day.
Diana, you don't have an extra connection to the British incarnations of G.I. Joe, right? As a fan, as a collector, is this case is a little bit of an outlier for you?
It is. My my sister and I for a long time were the only American children in our family. My parents came over here in the late 60s, early 70s from the UK, and we'd go back to visit. So some of my G.I. Joe figures are actually Action Force figures.
Aha.
And I had cousins who read Action Force. But yeah, this stands out a bit. The Action Force comics to read are completely, well, not completely, but it's a different tone. It's a different tone than G.I. Joe, and it's worth a read to see that different tone. I like them a lot, actually.
And during the series 3 incarnation of Action Force, when they started releasing the Hasbro toys as the main line rather than the 5-point articulation Palitoy toys, Duke was very much the star, the leader of Action Force, and dominating more page time and cover time than any of the other characters. So as a Duke fan, he's got a lot of exposure in the pages of.
Yeah, he's made a lot of covers too. He's just do cover, one after the other for that run.
Sounds like more Duke.
It was a lot. They got more Duke covers in the UK than I got over here. There's this
time for more Duke.
More.
Yeah, more Duke.
Here we go. Do you want to tell us about this one?
I have a few pieces from Emma Pitson, and she is a G.I. Joe fan, a hardcore G.I. Joe cartoon fan. She has a DeviantArt page. She is an animator and also a fantastic artist. So this is my more recent piece from Emma, and she's known on DeviantArt as Emma Nation. So you can find her. She has an Instagram page. She is on Facebook. She's done other commissions for other people. So if you go to her DeviantArt page and look at her G.I. Joe gallery there's some fantastic pieces. She's done a Flint and Lady J. She reimagined the women in G.I. Joe in like different eras for a bit. She does a lot of fantastic fan art of other series and things as well. But she goes along with and humors me and enjoys it too. So this is like, well, what happened after the Christmas episode before they got the parrot small again? It's expensive to feed giant parrots. And what I like about Emma is she'll work with me. So she'll come up with ideas, and her work is completely digital. So she'll come up with ideas, and we'll both go through and figure out this. One of my first pieces I got from her, which G.I. Joe comic fans don't like so much, is a smoochy piece. And just moving a hand changed the entire tone of the picture. That's the one. So she tried so many different ways Scarlett's hand could be. Is it grabbing the bandolier? Is it just sort of resting there? Is it down on the? And so when we tried that, and boom, there it went. And yeah, that makes some people unhappy. But if you're a comic fan, that's good. And she's fantastic. I mean, when you look at the way she's colored that, the detail. I recommend. She's got a piece she's done of Mainframe and Zorana that is just beautiful. It's just gorgeous. And her painting is out of this world too. So I'm thrilled to work with her, because as a G.I. Joe fan, she's as tickled as anyone else by any of the bits that I come up with. She was happy to be able to draw Shipwreck. She hadn't done him before.
That expression on Duke's face is it's just perfect. If you look at how clean that line work is, and how few lines are actually used, and quite how much, I guess, is being conveyed in that expression. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Diana, a digital piece like these two that you commission, are you getting a 300 DPI file that you could print? Are you getting a 72 DPI? Okay.
Yeah, she sends me a variety. She sends me a couple of small pieces, and then she'll send me the great big final file that if I wanted to print out, I could. It would be expensive. And I have made posters of another one. I didn't make a poster of this one. I did went for a Joe convention that was like the 30th anniversary. I had her do Duke in his mess dress, and then the fancy tuxedo kind of thing, because that's a spiffy uniform right there. And we don't see the Joes outside of their uniforms a lot in other uniforms, which other people would hate that picture because he's not in uniform. So is that Duke? Yeah, it is. He's going out to dinner. So I printed that up as posters, and that ended up, I handed them out. I don't know what happened to them. I had Michael Bell and BJ Ward sign mine, so that one's hanging on my wall. But I probably won't print this one out, because it's never going to look as good on paper as it does on the computer. And if I do, it'll end up in my portfolios because I'm out of wall space. If I change my wall around, maybe.
I see a little wall space behind you to the right of the Russ Heath Duke, directly above your.
There?
Yeah, you could fit a small one there.
Maybe put a little one there. I've got some other bits to go up.
Maybe you're saving that space for something super important because it's next to a Ron Rudat and a Russ Heath.
Yeah, her work would be up there with theirs. She's quite a talent, but we'll see. I've had a little bit of a lag right now. Oh, the dog's ringing the doorbell. I've had a bit of a lag, but we'll figure it out. And of course, there's only so much Cullen can take. The stained glass window in her front window, and the mannequin in the living room is, he went with that, but he wants some wall space for not G.I. Joe pictures.
But not G.I. Joe. Excellent. Okay. More Duke.
More.
Ooh,
nice transition.
There you go.
Now that, yeah. It's a shame that figure never came out.
Is it?
Well, maybe just one of them.
Is it though? Is it though?
So this is this the all right? So for people who this was going to be a 1995 action figure as the Star Brigade concept expands to include a couple Joes and Cobras that have been taken over by aliens, and there'd be a piece that would flip in their chest to reveal the alien. So is this the pencil original that
I have. Somebody else has the final painted pieces. Sadly, I don't, but I have pretty much everything leading up to it.
Okay.
So he did the pencils. He did a different, he did several different versions, and I've got a few of the ones, and then somebody's got all the painted ones. I missed out on the painted one by that much. And you know, maybe looking at the painted one, it's more than mildly pornographic. So that might be a good thing. And I did ask him, did you intend that illusion? He went, well, yeah, but I don't think that's why the figures didn't get made. I don't think that's it.
The other aliens popping out of the other 5 figures are different colors.
Yeah, they're different colors. They're different shapes. They're completely, it's like for aliens, it seems like a whole bunch of different aliens decided to get into G.I. Joes. Like, hey guys, come on, let's go. You take him. You take him.
Can you go back to the previous slide, Mark?
Yeah, so you've got sorry, Diana, you've got these 2 on the left and also this
yeah, the colored one is not mine. I think what Den sent me was like 3 or 4 different ones. I've got them in a portfolio.
So you've got like a collection of
different stages along the way.
Stages.
Yeah, of the package design. And this would have ended up on the card.
They got as far as like producing like prototypes of these?
I think, yeah, you can find pictures of them online.
Yeah, someone, yeah, there are, yes. Dan Beauvais?
Yeah.
Dan Beauvais, okay. So he's best known for painting some Aliens, the 20th Century Fox Aliens images for Dark Horse Comics. And this was these 6 pieces were the only G.I. Joe Hasbro work he did.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting.
You know, he sent me something from something that was canceled, I believe. That
Hasbro that's not G.I. Joe?
Something that was G.I. Joe that never got past the design stage. I'll have to look it up. It's on my page somewhere. It could have even been Hawk, because again, you know, if you just see the face, you don't know. But it's just a very close up of a face with the dog tags, and he's snarling.
Huh.
And I'll try and look that up.
Are you describing something like it would have been not like package art, but like a little vignette, like on the back of the package?
Yeah, and that's the thing. He couldn't tell me much more. Or he was, didn't want to go that far with what it was. And I got to let the dog out in a bit. I'm sorry. She's ringing that doorbell like a woman not getting service at a freaking Target. Bing, 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 bing. But yeah, he wasn't even really clear on what it was for, but it didn't make it past the, and of course now I can't find it. I'm scrolling down in my little iPad here. It didn't make it beyond whatever they were planning it for. And it could have even been G.I. Joe Extreme. It could have been something else. It was later. And it's an extreme looking picture.
Interesting.
If you go to my Pinterest page, it's there somewhere. It gets shuffled around. But yeah.
Mark and I can riff for a minute if you have to step away.
The poor dog. Yeah. She's probably doing the little pee-pee dance. Hold on. Hold on, Paloma.
So, Mark, I'll say about this Duke, both from the design and also with the color, that I wouldn't have liked the figure at the time because this goes too far for me. But if we sort of take the alien out of it, or if the alien was like a clip-on piece, not like you sort of flip the figure's waist and there's this like alien sticking out of it, then I'd be okay with it if it was a clip-on piece. I like it as a Joe. This doesn't read to me as Duke.
Yeah, there's not a lot of giveaways there that it's Duke, to be honest. Are there?
You wouldn't know it. If someone asked you to say who that was, you'd come up with some other 90s.
Yeah, he's got a good jawline, but not an awful lot.
I mean, this could be like any of 75 other Joes. Like, oh, it's Barricade. Like, oh, it's Beachhead. Like, it's Lowlight. Like Lowlight shaved after.
After his beard, yeah.
Well, you can tell he's been invaded by aliens. Aside from the alien bursting out of his chest. I don't think Duke would ever turn his baseball cap backwards that way. Sorry. Just not the type to do that. He'd be like, well, why wear it then? It's not covering your eyes.
I really like
it. Is not. Yeah, it's not performing its primary function.
I really like the pencil, the other one, the full rendered pencil drawing. The sense of light is great on it. And then in the color painted version, right? Like, there's this yellow light source behind him. And then the alien itself is a little bioluminescent because it's casting a little bit of light onto like Duke's chin and the shoulder pad just under his like radio receiver, onto his leg that's thrust forward, onto that boot that's thrust forward. There's both purple light and yellow light on Barricade here.
And it's somewhat ironic there that Den Beauvais is now known to us for this replicant concept of these aliens bursting out of G.I. Joes, and then also the Dark Horse Aliens series, where I've not revisited it in a number of years, really since it first came out, but it was incredibly beautifully painted artwork. And yeah, the first and
or
second.
after that?
His Aliens work is before this.
Yeah, so that's probably
This
why he got
is,
it.
Yeah, 94. Yeah, probably just slight, not too far ahead, was it? Would be
Mark, you're talking about
early 90s.
You're talking about covers, right? Not interiors.
Yeah, he did the interiors for the second Dark Horse series. There was I think it was Mark Verheiden and there was the first series which was all black and white. Just wondering who's got it behind me.
Did Beauvais draw this second series pencil and ink? Did he also color it? It's not painted, right?
Yeah, it's fully painted. Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh.
Solo Mark. Here we go. This kind of shenanigans.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
It was that was a bit of a spoiler, but it's fully painted. It's it's really very nicely done. It's maybe puts me in mind a little bit of the style of Matt Wagner's sort of painted art. Not a million miles away from that kind of feel. I forgot I had that. That's I brought it from my brother the other day. It's gonna get read.
Yay!
Brilliant. Okay, more Duke.
I'm still dying that I missed the painting for that, but there you go. Oh yeah, I love this one.
Wow.
Oh, I think have I spelt that wrong? Is that right?
I think that's right. No.
Okay.
Where did you find this artist?
I found him at, I think, we lost him. WonderCon. And it's a big painting, and he did a bunch of different characters in the same style. And again, that was one of the ones where I saw the style and I said to myself, "Oh yeah, we need one of those. We need one of those."
Sorry, he already had some G.I. Joe paintings.
He
there
had
for sale?
mostly Marvel and DC. I didn't see any other G.I. Joe paintings, but he knew the character. And once I got to a certain place on my Pinterest page, if they needed reference, that's where I sent them. So I saw this, and again, he did it. I got it back the next day
At the convention.
And it's fantastic. He must have painted it in the room overnight.
Is this on paper?
No, this is on that fiber board.
Okay.
I think I have to. It's in back there behind me. Yeah, it's glorious.
Quite a hard board.
Yeah.
This piece is so funny.
Yeah, it's great. Look at the neck, just like
because we don't. The range of G.I. Joe sort of style, like some of it's painted and realistic, and most of it's drawn, and it's like American adventure style. But it's not like Batman where you have like, there was, I guess Sigma 6, right? But generally G.I. Joe is much more contained. It's not like Batman where, you have that TV show from the 90s where it's all streamlined and it looks like animation from 1940. we tend not even for variant covers to get sort of a range this far out of exaggeration or sort of silliness. Like this is really silly to me, even though this character in this painting is really serious.
Right. But it's so.
I was trying to. I was trying to think what it puts me in mind of, and I think it might be Spitting Image, which is a bit of a British institution, which was massive during the 80s, and it's been brought back relatively recently. It's all of these sort of slightly grotesque kind of caricatures of celebrities and politicians and those kind of things. And
we know it from the Land of Confusion video, right? Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, it's just everything is just sort of turning it up, a little bit, and it's kind of just making everything broader and squeezing, and it's that kind of feel potentially.
It's all.
I like it a lot.
It's all chin and neck, but that's when people think of Duke, chin is one of the words that pop into their head. So.
So this artist, Diana Tuvu,
yeah.
Tuvu. Only this kind of paintings? Is there sequential work? Is it?
I don't know. I don't know.
Fan art? Okay. Can we zoom in, Mark, on the face?
Sure.
Tuvu comics. I think he's maybe now gotten into it. No, that's not going to work. Let me look him up again. Sadly, when you do find people in Artist Alley, you don't ever. Okay, so you can find him on Instagram at TWOVOO. And he has, if you look at his pictures, he does a lot of stuff in a similar but also different style. Let's look at his. He's a muralist, contemporary artist, urban art. So I don't think he's done anything in sequential art. I would like to see more stuff. He's done cards.
Okay.
I would like to see. That's the thing for me. A cover like this would be cool. For other people, not so much. For like a vast majority of people, they don't want to see comic covers like this. But I would find that that kind of thing a fantastic comic cover.
Is the blue paint sitting on top of the board?
Yeah, there's paint underneath it.
Okay.
But the blue is put on in that very sort of almost dry brushy.
Yeah, because I think this is incorrect, but what I see is it's almost like the blue sitting on metal and it's reflecting. But you're saying that's another layer of color?
There's another layer under there.
Okay. This is wonderful because it's so weird.
Yeah, it's just different. I like it.
But like clearly he can draw, right? Like,
oh yeah,
there are people who might exaggerate this much, and we can enjoy the exaggeration, and we might sort of like lap the fact that such an exaggeration is not built on a foundation of anatomical skill. But like, you look at the nose and the cheeks, you look under the eyes, like, oh, this guy can draw.
Some of his less exaggerated work that will show through a lot more. Yeah, he's quite fantastic. If you see some of his other stuff on Pinterest, I can't look him up. I wish I could hold my iPad up to the screen, but I'm not sure that's going to work. Well, you never know. Let's see. I can bring it up. Open image.
I think the way for IDW to use an image like this as a cover would be to add another tier, right? Like not an A cover and a B cover and a 1 in 10 retailer incentive cover, but like an additional like 1 in 12 or 15 incentive cover, right? I'm not necessarily encouraging this because I have strong feelings about variant covers, but I also know that it's just part of the business nowadays. And so if it doesn't replace anything, I can imagine fans who might be grumpy about this. It's like, well, I can sort of ignore that because it's like an extra thing this month. Or would that just drive them more
I think that would drive them more crazy. It's like,
Yeah,
okay,
they'd
now
probably be
really,
like,
really
I
hard
know.
and expensive to buy this
You-
thing that I don't even like.
You know what? Okay, the dollars and cents of this would not work because you'd only really do this for a cover, but do this for a pinup or a back cover.
yeah,
Then
Oh
you
yeah,
know, if you don't
back cover.
you don't like it, you can ignore it, and if you do like it, you have it.
right.
Yeah.
All right,
'Cause,
let's see if I. This is
as much
this
as we
is
give
another one of
Devil's
his-
due stick, as much as we
I
give
mean,
Devil's due stick,
he's drawn like that.
Oh, cool.
So
Uh-huh.
yeah, he's definitely got the
There's
ability.
a-
He just, I think that style is just something he does. You know, it's this is his painting. This is my comic work.
Mark, I'll finish that thought for you. We
Go
are
on.
sometimes hard on Devil's Due, but they sure paid for G.I. Joe painted pinups on the back covers of their G.I. Joe comics.
Yeah, they did, and those were pretty
Absolutely.
impressive. Yeah,
More Duke?
more.
More Duke.
More.
How many MOAR Dukes do we have in our session?
How much time have you got?
Oh. Huh.
We're coming to the
One.
end of the ones that I've got planned, but I've got a bonus quickfire more Duke at the end potentially if we've still got time.
Diana, I am so intrigued. Can you tell us about this?
Well, okay. This
Who is
I get. I've got a few from Larry. The first one he did for me came about a similar way where I asked him to draw me a picture. He's like, yeah, I got you. And of course, you don't have to provide reference for Larry. But what he does is, and this is the second time he's done it, is he's gone on to my Facebook page and he found a picture of Cullen.
Oh, your husband.
Yeah. So he found a picture of Cullen, and I didn't ask for him to do this, but he did. And he drew this. If you can find the original picture on my Facebook page or Cullen's Facebook page, he's leaning against a wall holding of course a beer for Cullen. And he put it there. Now people will accuse me of marrying a blonde man because of Duke. And I have heard that multiple times, and I don't see the two combined, but the picture is fantastic. I think Cullen used it as his profile picture for a little bit.
Uh-huh.
I mean, if I wanted a picture of Cullen, I'd have Larry draw it, because that's really a fantastic picture. I don't know if you found the original, Mark, to pop up there, but it's.
I didn't know to look.
No,
I like
and I
the
don't put it on my Pinterest.
I like the detail here where Larry just made this decision on his own, particularly since with Larry drawing commissions, sketches at conventions, he's not known for, asking for or accepting photo reference of people, right? I think if you wanted to draw some obscure Superman villain, you would provide reference. So this is a fun surprise.
Yep. And Larry, unlike many, has managed to make the rank patch look right. It has that little diamond in there, which is so often left out. Don't leave it out. Don't leave it out. 3 grenades.
I like that the grenades are all in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
The tops of them are the pin and the thingy are all in perspective, and the grenades are in proper perspective.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I would also accept for a loose convention sketch 3 grenades not in perspective.
I don't know if Larry's capable of that. Look at that. I mean, look at the sidearm too. Again,
Yeah, there's some care.
We put a lot of effort into making sure that's the 1911.
Trigger finger discipline there as well.
Right. Larry has a book that he uses to refer to weaponry. And when I started writing my childish fan fiction, he's like, you really should have a copy of this. And I do. And it's really useful for writing or whatever, because you can refer to things properly and see what they look like. But he doesn't need to look at stuff anymore, I'm sure.
Thank you for the comment, Shane. Mark and Diana, how do you feel?
Shane, who is going to be, by the way, our next guest for sharing some sketches. So
great.
Thanks for the comment, Shane, and thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, so everyone who's tuning in, get ready. Mark and Diana, how do you feel about Duke having gloves?
Makes sense. I have no problem with him wearing gloves.
Okay, Mark?
It's fine.
Okay.
Why not? Why not?
I'm not trying to stir up controversy. I'm just
Yeah.
I'm just finding something, and I want to talk about the thing besides the obvious unusual thing here. I want to talk about the less unusual thing,
Yeah.
less obvious unusual thing here.
Is the gloves? Is that a Cullen thing, or is that just a little touch?
No. Cullen does not actually wear gloves all that often. I know the sideshow figure came out with gloved hands and nothing else. And since then, you've seen more art of Duke wearing gloves. But
I can imagine a lot of people Googling by accident or on purpose the sideshow Duke.
Yeah, and I like it. There's a couple of other artists who've drawn Duke in gloves, which makes sense because most soldiers wear gloves.
Yeah. More Duke?
More Duke.
More Duke.
Oh, sorry. Wait. Maybe the obvious question here was, what was Cullen's reaction?
He thought it was great.
Okay.
He laughed. He knew exactly the picture that had been taken from. I believe that was the one convention Cullen managed to travel with me to see, or it was after, because they've met and Cullen gets along well with everybody. Cullen is an amazing person to sit and talk to, mostly because he listens, and he's if you say anything that might come off as strange or odd, he goes with it. So Cullen tends to, if you have a difficult character or a difficult person or a nice person or any person, you put them with Cullen and they'll be talking with him forever and want to talk to him. Hi, Dana. Hey, Cullen, let's blah, 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 blah. He's just a fascinating person. And as an artist himself, Cullen appreciates the collection a lot, and he supports me in it. And he likes Larry a lot too. He likes chatting with him because I think his mother and father lived in New York for a chunk of the 50s and 60s. And so when Larry talks about things that he knew growing up, his mother knew that as well. So it's kind of an interesting connection, but he loves it. He thought it was hilarious.
Cool.
Brilliant.
More Duke?
More.
Last Duke?
No, never.
Never. There's never.
I mean,
Never a final.
we can't stream for 6 hours.
It's always a
This is. I've got one more before we potentially vote on a quick fire round. So I think we were talking about this one on the podcast when we were having our general chat, Diana. This is the Herb Trimpe, where you think that he basically drew Hawk, and then you said, no, I wanted Duke. So, okay, let me just stick a bandolier on and also a name tag.
And I talked with him at that con. It was one of the last ones he was at. He and I chatted for a while because he had been a teacher and I was special ed teaching, and he had taught, and he talked more about teaching than anything else. And it was a 2-day commission. He took it up to his room and started, and he showed it to me. And I said, and he knew I wanted Duke, but again, people confuse him all the time. So it had the band, it had the gun, no bandolier, and the typical G.I. Joe, red puffy collar, a little sweater underneath, and the rolled up sleeves. And so he mostly got it. And then I believe when I was chatting with him, I was just standing there watching him draw, as I sometimes do. I'll just hover, and as long as they don't tell me to get lost, And some guy came up and talked about the Hulk for a bit, and looked at the picture, pointed at it, and said, "Hawk, right?" And Trimpe went, oh. And so that's when he put the name tag on there. He's like, "No, it's Duke." But that by that time the bandolier had already made it on, and it was, I remember this most because it was a really great conversation about something that had nothing to do with G.I. Joe while he was drawing G.I. Joe. He was much more interested in talking about his days teaching and what he had done and the kids. He was a really nice guy to talk to.
Lovely. It's a great G.I. Joe touch, though, that if you're ever in doubt what the character's name is, just add a little name badge there.
You know who this looks. You know who this looks like. To me. This looks to me. This looks like Barricade. This looks like Replicator's Barricade before he puts on his backwards
out of his chest
baseball cap and goes up to Space Station Delta or whatever.
Sweet.
Can you scroll down? Can we see the knees and the boots?
What artist was that, Shane?
Diana, are you seeing a comment that we're not seeing?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Here's the comment. I had a commission of Hawk from an artist who I said.
That's okay.
That's great.
Maybe I shouldn't know.
I got a commission of Hawk from an artist who said, I draw him a lot for Diana. I just went with it. Fantastic. We've got a treat for you, Dan. When you listen to our interview with Nitho Diaz, you've got a shout out there. It's
Oh,
it's
Nitho's
hilarious.
cool. I loved his run on GI Joe. He there was one
Oh,
issue.
here we go.
Oh.
Mike Vosberg, it was.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
That was it. And the first picture, Mike had sent me pictures, and you know, it's hard to tell them apart. Maybe they'll just scar his face, or take an eye, or do something, snick off a limb.
This is I like this drawing because so I always appreciate one leg forward and one leg back, where the foreshortening is subtle and therefore difficult, and then you can get a spotted black shadow, right? Those the leg that's back, right? It's really nicely done. But I also like this because it's quiet. So it's not these moments that Diana is referring to in some of the other drawings, like between battles or downtime. But this is also there's some potential menace here. There's some investigation. It's, you know, like most pinups are like aiming to the right or aiming to the left. There's some diagonal. So this isn't the like G.I. Joe order of battle or official handbook of the Marvel Universe, like person standing there. But it's also not like standard pinup, like aiming slightly to the right, yelling, arms akimbo, firing. It's halfway between, which for Trimpe feels really appropriate because, you know, like this feels like the pinups that are in issue 1 and yearbook 1 and that issue of Marvel Age. It feels, you know, halfway between all those things. Pinups, a regular pinup, order of battle. It's nice.
Okay, more Duke.
More.
Okay.
Oh yeah. There you go.
That's it.
This came back a lot more detailed than I thought it would be.
Yeah, and this is more out there, and I guess a less well known name than some that have been up there. I've no idea if it'd be one that Tim could
would
possibly guess. Do you think?
Yeah, he would.
This looks a little like Chris Batista, but no.
The initials are on the drum down there, or on something down at the bottom left.
Can you go down?
Yeah, on the light.
Walter McDaniel?
Oh, here.
No.
Because he's out of comics, I think.
No.
Huh.
Yep. It's a W and an M there for people that can't make it out.
I don't know. Oh, Will Mineo.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yep.
Yeah. So Will Mineo worked on the cartoon. And also importantly, Fox's X-Men cartoon and Exo Squad.
Oh.
So is this the Average Joe band from the end of Cold Slither?
Yep. My question, getting him to draw it was, you know, he was happy to do it, but it's not. He doesn't do commissions often. And I said, well, imagine the Average Joe band. They're like, you know, this is something to do when we're bored, and they practice and they got kind of good, and then go. And this is what he came up with.
Let's zoom in on some of the...
the mass device is there. Nice.
Oh yeah, look at little Polly.
Yeah, so up in the top left hand corner, we've got the mass device. We've got Polly with some maracas. Just on the top, on that maraca, there's a Joe
You've got roadblock
who-
on the mass
lettering.
device up there.
Okay, that's okay.
Roadblocks up here on the top.
There are fireworks or just a light show.
It's the stage show, I suppose. That's probably why the mass device is there. It's part of the light show for the.
Okay. And we are in a stadium. I can see stands and stadium lights in the distance next to Lady J.
Oh yeah, up there we've got Lady J, Scarlet, Covergirl, Shipwreck poking out his tongue. Is this Footloose?
Yep.
I'm gonna guess.
thrashing
Wait.
some.
I know who's on the right. That's Barricade.
And I guess rock and roll with a double R guitar. Go, and then the spotlights coming up from
And
below.
Duke's collar is so popped because he's
Oh yeah.
Working hard there.
and it even says "Real American" on the neck of his
Yeah.
guitar. Who's on
Oh yeah.
keyboard?
Yeah.
Can you scroll up just
It's,
a smidge?
up here it's Scarlet.
Okay, right. Sorry.
And his dog tabs are sort of flapping around like it's a kind of, heavy metal kind of necklace.
So we should clarify a little bit. Will Mineo he's retired, but he draws all the time. He's self-publishing a comic very soon. If you're his friend on Facebook, you'll be able to buy it. And he has self-published 2 paperback art books. Will Mineo had a very short career in comics, drawing for Marvel. He did some Tigra, and then he got into animation. Animation, there are benefits and it pays a little better. And he came back to comics to work on DN Agents, right? Which Kamiko was publishing. But he really is best known for Real Ghostbusters and several of those. It was like 2005, the first couple of straight to DVD Marvel animated movies, like Ultimate Avengers, like storyboarding and art directing and directing those. G.I. Joe and Gem and Exo Squad. This is really fun because he was one of the ideal artists to be working on the G.I. Joe animated series, because G.I. Joe animated series is supposed to basically look like comics, and several people who worked on it had worked in comics, but also now we're working in animation. Well, Will Mineo hasn't drawn a lot of comics compared to how many hundreds or thousands of storyboards he's drawn, and yet he clearly knows how to draw comics and still has a great interest in comics. So this is sort of a crossover piece.
Nice. Okay, so if we aim for a 2-hour finish, should we do a quick fire bonus content, more Duke?
I'm not going to say no. How much time has Tim got, or you got? It's getting late your side.
I've got to go finish this barricade commission that I'm doing for someone on Facebook.
Turn that baseball hat the right way. It's supposed to shade your eyes, not your neck.
Quick fire. Ew.
Cool. Who is it?
His name is Hamer. Chris Hamer?
Hamer. Hamer. Down by his foot.
He is an artist. Does tattoo artists. Some of his pieces appeared in The Walking Dead. There's one of his pieces on the wall in The Walking Dead because of this fantastic, great, totally exaggerated style.
You mean the TV show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's hanging up in some room. Not in the comic, no.
Right. Cool. Okay. More Duke.
Next.
More.
Fun. So
tiny.
So soft. Like, how tiny is it?
It's a baseball card sized, if not slightly smaller.
Is this pastel? Is this colored pencil?
I believe a little bit of pencil and a pastel and maybe even a little bit of paint.
Okay.
It's by Frank A. Kadar.
And it's referring to the Hector Guido painting, but not fully.
That's an evil grin, though, too. Like, wow.
It's a little bit, isn't it? The more you look at his face, it's a little bit sinister.
But it's a beautiful little tiny thing. It's amazing.
Yeah, let's look at that face. There's a little bit behind the eyes here. Okay. Pew, more Duke.
Yay!
This is Jeremy Dale, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
I love drinking a hell of a lot of goddamn tea. I'm a badass kid. You better get used to it. Has this got a bit of Cullen in it there too? He's added some whiskers.
You know, Dale drew a goatee on Duke quite often.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. He did a couple of Joe comic books that came with the toys, I believe. And he knew the characters well and loved them. But yeah, I think he if you look at Duke in those comics, yeah, that one's wild. If you look at Duke in those comics, he's got a bit of scruff just down there.
This is a convention sketch, not a commission.
This is I have had a convention sketch from Jeremy, but this one was just an outside commission. And he drew it based on one of my small childish fan fiction pieces in which Duke actually just uses that mug to try and needle people. And that mug is actually, if you go back to a few comics, you might see the kitten mug pop up in a few past issues.
Oh wow.
Cute
Okay.
kitten mug.
Duke.
More Duke.
Oh, this is cool. This is John Boy.
Oh wow.
So detailed.
This is great. Has this one seen print anywhere, or is this is just your own private
this
commission?
is just a commission he drew for me at a con.
Wow.
Because he did a few covers, including for the sort of the collection, the
Classic 15.
Classic 15, yeah, that kind of thing. It's done about 3 or so, but maybe even more. But yeah, he was able to draw Duke a few times on those covers, and I thought this seems very familiar, very very polished. It must surely be for a cover, but I don't know.
Oh, didn't he do the cover
Great.
to IDW's issue 0?
Oh yes, with the Duke firing.
Yeah, the
like,
Gatling
as he's
gun.
parachuting down.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So the beginning of the IDW run, and then also symbolically the end of the Marvel run with his cover for Classic G.I. Joe Volume 15.
Yeah, great. And it looks like it's got a lot of blue in it in the line.
And I'd have to look at the original, because sometimes when I scan, it blues them out. But I think it's probably in the original. Again, it's in the books behind me, but turning around and sifting through them may take some time.
It's great. Okay, more Duke. Now we saw this one not too long ago. Tim, do you remember?
Something was printed across this. This is this is the page from Devil's Due issue 5. This is the fill-in issue after Devil's Due's initial arc, and the title of the story is printed across the parachute. Is the title of the story fill-in issue?
Out for blood.
Yay!
Okay.
There we go.
Impact. Good fun. Overused. Because for a second I was gonna. This looks to me a little bit like Shannon Gallant and Brian Shearer together in its crispness. But yes, I have seen this before.
Yeah, the Super Soldier Duke, Super Soldier, Super Spy Duke. Because
Diana,
he would actually be in his tux here, wouldn't he?
Yes, underneath. Diana, do you have a lot of original pages? Is that
I do. I have some. There's the Duke Spotlight issue that came out a few years back. I have all the pages from that. And there's some individual pages that I have. I came close to getting some really fantastic older pages, but sometimes these things get priced way beyond my means. So it's rare, but I do have some. I also have a full book from Shannon Gallant that he sent me that I purchased, which
wow.
is the one where Duke, where you see his dream, where he's having that nightmare about when Claire was abducted, and some of the work Shannon did on that was beautiful. I mean, there's one page where he's just it's 3 panels. He's holding a dying baby, right, and he's just standing there as people walk by, and what he's done is just the Duke is the same. The people walking by are different, but the lighting changes through those, just boom, 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 to show the passage of time. But I don't have as many original pages as I do commissions.
More Duke?
No, you've got some nice ones as well. So this seems a bit unfair to have as only as quick fire, because it is great. I'll let you have a guess.
Oh,
See
it's
the signature.
It's Mark Pennington. Why don't we save this? Why don't we just say it's awesome and skip it and talk about it more the next time?
Okay.
So that's not a quick fire.
Oh,
Let's do that then. Let's save it for round 2.
for sure.
And there we go. Mighty Blonde, 1 American ale, a real American beer. Do you want to tell us about the story behind this?
My husband brews beer. He's a member of the oldest continuous home brewing club in the United States. They were brewing beer and having a club maybe a few years before it was legal to brew beer at home, called the Maltose Falcons. And so he loves to brew all sorts of different types of beer. And he brewed me a Duke beer. We call it Mighty Blonde 1. And then I said, you need to make me a label for that. So he did the back. He's a graphic designer by trade. So labels are boom, boom, boom. He's got it. It's good. It's beautiful. And then an artist known as Nathaniel Nathaniel drew the Duke for me. And then we printed those up, and he put the beer in bottles, and we slapped the labels on the bottles and handed it out in Colorado. And we've done a series of these. And there's sort of, if you know your beer, that's a little Sam Adams-y, just a bit. But we try to sort of allude to other things. He's done a Scarlet and a Destro. We started work on a Snake Eyes beer, but the beer itself did not do well. Something infected it or got in, so we had to toss it out like ninja attack.
No. Silent but deadly beer.
Yeah, and I have a bunch of labels, and I generally, if someone wants one, I just toss it out and they put it on a bottle for their collection. It was good beer too.
I saw on Facebook just this week, might be been today or yesterday, there was someone put out their Baroness beer for I think the next joke on or something.
Yeah, for Joe Fest. I think it's called Beeriness, and he's done labels and caps, and it more Joe beer equals better. There was a brewery that did some just recently, but I think it's great. If you brew beer and you like G.I. Joe, do it, and then hand them out legally. You can't sell them, but give them to your friends at conventions, because then not only do they get the beer inside, but then they got the bottle to take home.
Lovely. This next one is a bit of a doozy.
Oh yeah.
So that's Shannon Gallant, right?
Yeah. When I bought the pages from Shannon, and I think it was the pages from Shannon, and he mailed them to me. This traveled on the outside of the envelope all the way across the country, and it was
that's
the
incredible.
most pristine. There was like not even a wrinkle on the outside of the envelope on the packaging. So the U.S. Post Office.
Look at this sandcastle. Oh my god.
Yeah, and it was definitely when I bought those pages, because if you look on his chest, you can see the scar from when he got shot when Claire was captured. Oh, it's just fun. Kind of wish more artists did that, so that the post office got to have some fun too. A little star on his shorts. He's so shiny.
It's a hell of a thing to do to stick on an envelope. It's what a great guy. And I think that was it. That was the end of Duke. No more
Hooray.
Duke.
No more for today.
But
Ah.
that was fun. That was a journey through your collection and also your mind, I think, a
Oh,
little
thanks.
bit as well.
That can be a scary journey, but there you go.
But
Yeah, and there's more bits behind me. Like there's
Diana,
more.
do you have any? You
Oh,
don't
it's
have
a
to.
paper cut Duke. Wow.
there. I have to look up the artist. He goes around to different conventions.
Diana, you don't necessarily have to reveal names, but I'm curious. Do you have any commissions out at this time?
Currently, no. The last one I got was that Emma Pitson commission, and I was working on one or two, but they haven't come to fruition. Generally the last couple of people I asked said, "Well, when I have time, yes," but they haven't had time because they're making comics. So we'll hope that they have time sometime soon, which is good because it helps me save up money, and the more money I have to be able to have free to spend on commissions, the better kind of commission I can get sometimes. Instead of a head. When I first started, it was mostly heads because that's all I could really afford. And there's one artist I would go to, because I don't mind having the commission from from the same artist. And I said, "Would you draw me, Duke?" But he sees a bunch of people, so I have two, and it's pretty much the same picture, just twice, a couple years apart. And I thought of maybe I should go every year and ask him for a Duke, and get really specific with my collection, and just see if he draws me that same picture every year, but there's slight differences. That would be a little art project, but then I gave up on that because it's kind of rude. So the end.
Okay, the end. Thank you for the comment there. Coming over from the Netherlands. Glad you enjoyed it. And Shane as well, commenting there. Oh, sorry, same one twice. Shane is that Diana has an incredible collection. This is a true fact.
Oh, thanks.
And we'll be talking to Shane next week and finding out about some of his incredible collection. And I think I can actually give a slight preview of what is to come, and this will be a surprise to Shane.
Shane Simic, who got the jewels in your sketchbook? How many? That's super.
Wow.
There we go.
Wow.
A jingle for everyone, and now people are going to be rushing on here just to get jingles. I got to get some commissions.
Mark should start.
Cobra, la 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 la. Yeah.
Shall we say goodbye and wrap up?
Sure.
We shall indeed. Yeah, there we go.
Yay.
And you'll be getting something. So
See?
more
Wow.
clothes for everyone. So there we go. That's reassuring. I can't wait. It was either going to be that or, oh my god, what have I let myself in for? I think let's cancel it. So that's that's very good to hear. So Diana, if people want to find out more about you and more about Duke, where should they head off to?
Well, they can go to Facebook, Gallery of Duke, and just go through there. I'm on Facebook. Just look me up. You'll know it's me because there's probably going to be Duke somewhere on my profile or cover. There's a lot of Diana Davises out there, but only one of them has quite the obsession I do. And then there is you can look up Gallery of Duke on Pinterest, and you'll either get something about Duke University or my collection. Either way, it's a good place to go.
Brilliant. And Tim, where can people go to find out more about you and your world of G.I. Joe?
realamericanbook.com.
Yes, indeedy. And if you're new to Talking Joe, you can head over to talkingjoe.co.uk to find out more about the show, find all of the links to other YouTube videos, all of our podcasts, Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, etc. Big shout out to all of the Patreon funders, a growing list, getting access to early access to episodes and exclusive content. So thanks to Richard, Sam, Jay, Bill, Christopher, and Justin. What else shall I say? And this time next week-ish, we'll be talking to Shane on the regular show. Our next episode dropping will be an interview with Nitho Diaz, and then we're continuing to discuss G.I. Joe Disavowed. The reading homework for that next episode will be issue 20 and 21, and of course we'll be back talking about the very latest from Larry Hama and Andrew Griffith, which will be 282. So I think that is all us said and done. And I imagine you can catch us down the road.
Because we've been talking Joe.
Oh, and we're all out of Joes. Never out of Joes.
But there will always be more Duke.
More Duke.